Hey, everyone. This is I'm gonna talk about it. Welcome back. My name is Alicia. For anybody who doesn't know me, my pronouns are she, her, and I am an empowerment coach and ancestral healer. Today, I am actually laying in my bed doing this episode because it popped in my mind as I was having lots of conversations with people around niceness. So, niceness. There's some really cool things about being nice. Niceness can be you are more content, you may be joyful, you can actually be happier, but niceness can also hinder your happiness, aka make you unhappy, put you in uncomfortable situations, prevent you from getting what you need in life or what you desire in life. It also can prevent a lot of change. And someone recently had asked me, like, Alicia, how have you done all of these things? Like, how was it you were able to, fight for people's pay or your own pay or get promoted or, demand six figures and all of these things? And to be honest, like, I literally said, fuck no to being nice. Most of the time when I would tell someone a story about something that had happened to me at work, how someone had treated me. For anybody who doesn't know me, I identify as a queer person of color. And I was working in a primarily dominated, like, male, cisgendered male, like, industry. And I wasn't treated very well. And there was a lot of gaslighting going on, and it seemed like no matter how many times I tried to explain to someone what my reality was, they weren't hearing me. So I had to really sit with that. And I also go to therapy, and at the time I was going to therapy, and I was talking about this a lot with my therapist, and we had a long conversation about niceness, and how it was actually showing up in my life. Like, even though I was having stomach problems and I had anxiety, like, I was still tiptoeing around people's feelings because I didn't want to make waves. And as we know, or maybe you don't know, like, society teaches women specifically to not make waves, to stay in your lane. We are like the peacekeepers. So it's very, very easy to fall back into niceness and to turn to a place when there is confrontation to, like, go so inwards and start questioning all of your actions rather than saying hell no to being nice and just demanding or asking for what you need. And, I hadn't realized until I had that conversation with my therapist, like, how nice I was actually being. And what I failed to realize, because I wanted to be so nice, was how not nice people were to me. But it didn't matter. Like, I was conditioned to believe that I needed to be nice in order to navigate through this world, to not upset people. And I think I was also taught, as like a Black female in a Black household, we have to sometimes be really mindful about how we show up in spaces, because it can affect our job and it can affect how much we get paid and all of these things. But then at some point you kind of have to ask yourself, like, how much is too much? Like, how much of my parents and their parents and their parents and their parents am I carrying with me that is preventing me from making the money I want, from standing up to my boss, to creating change for people? And after I had this conversation with my therapist, I immediately the next day was like, fuck being nice. Like, if anybody knows me, you know that I am a very fiery person. I have been this way since I was little. But I had been showing up in corporate world very differently, because that was what I was taught. And so I decided, like, fuck being nice. Like, why can't I just show up as my fiery fucking self every single day? And so I had to consciously make the decision of, I'm going to choose a different path, right? Like, I'm going to not choose to be nice all of the time. And when I say like I chose to not be nice, it wasn't that I was choosing like, I'm going to be really mean to this person, yada, yada, yada. No, what it was I'm not going to bend over backwards for someone who is treating me like crap. And I'm not going to not tell them the truth because I might hurt their feelings, or because of X, Y, and Z, or because of whatever dumb story I had told myself that day that I didn't even have factual information to support. So that was how I went about not being nice. And I remember sitting in a meeting with my boss, and there were quite a few times where we would be in our one-on-one meetings, and he would often look at his phone when we would have conversations and look around, like not really pay attention. And yes, I totally get it. Like, everybody, like, as we're also practicing and I'm educating myself on disabilities and awareness, and, even educating myself on autism, and, everybody shows up in spaces differently. But what made it really hard for me was that it was very apparent that he had an addiction to working. It didn't matter where he was consistently working. And so he would sit there and answer his emails. And so even if I would ask a question, he'd be like, like, it was very dismissive, and I was giving my 3,000% to sit there and be present because it was being asked of me. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I'm just really not going to be nice during this moment, because what is the point of even being here? Don't call me here if you don't want to talk to me. So I looked at him and just plain face said, "Are you paying attention? Because it looks like you're answering emails." So I just kind of described my environment and asked a question. I think in that moment I kind of triggered him, because it was an immediate, like, of course I'm paying attention. Like, it was a very tense conversation. And then he slammed his phone down and put it on his desk, or on the table that we were sitting at. But I don't really regret it because I wasn't sure if he was paying attention, and it felt like he wasn't, because every time I talked to him, he was working and seemed very haphazard with our conversations. So as I decided to consciously say no to being nice all of the time, I immediately started to realize oh my gosh, if I'm not nice all the time, by my definition of not being nice, I could get so many things, right? I immediately I immediately requested his presence because he was requesting my presence. And I got it. And so I applied this to everything that I did. Even when asking for promotions, it was very difficult for me. I was told many, many times. Things about being a millennial, being ungrateful, all of these things. But there were a lot of contradicting information with what was being shared with me. So I decided again to not be nice. And then it turned out that this person was my boss at the time was very fearful of sharing this information with somebody else, sharing my request of increased pay with this higher up person, which is also why it's really important to do work on yourself all of the time, because he was taking money out of my pocket and affecting my livelihood. But in that moment, I again chose to not be nice because I had asked so many times and I kept giving in to, like, it wasn't even a no. It was kind of like you don't deserve it because you millennials think a certain way. And so I was like, no, we don't. Let me start over. So I would constantly try to change the way I was saying something, because I was like, maybe it's just like breaking up somewhere. Maybe my voice just goes out into the universe and then it goes blah, 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 like in Charlie Brown, and then it just disappears. And so eventually I said, look, if you are not going to help me get the money that I deserve, I need you to get out of my way. And the response that I got was, fine, I'll ask. And every single time that I did it, like I'm telling y'all, like every single time that I stopped being nice because I was worried about how it would make someone feel, and still practice like a mindfulness or trying to be present and articulating myself so they know that this is reality. Like, I'm not going to let you ignore this. I'm telling you that I need something and you're telling me no, but not giving me sufficient information. So in those moments, I had to not be nice. And I see this come up so many times with people who ask for money at a company. And then they're like, they told me that, I needed to have this and this and this and this and this. And I, my immediate thing was, get everybody's name. Who has the same role as you? Who does the same work as you? What is the market like? I guarantee you we can find a hole, right? Like, don't ever take that information and say it's factual. Because what I've learned from my experience is that in big corporations in general, everybody goes about their own path on how to promote people. Unless there's like a strict system in place for how to promote people, like it's very willy-nilly, like how they decide to promote people. So it's really important that if you find yourself in a situation where, and it doesn't have to be at a corporate place, it could be anywhere, like in a relationship with someone, if you are sitting in that moment and you're constantly thinking about how this person might feel if you are to be honest with them, just be honest. And even if you can't fully articulate it in the way that you want, you can start with that and just be like, I'm not even sure how to say this, but I'm going to do my best to articulate this from a good place, right? Like if you feel like you need to say that, say that. Sometimes you don't need to say that. And just know that you're not alone. There are so many people out there who will not speak up for themselves, who will not ask for things that they need, the money that they need to put food on the table or to take care of themselves or, feed their family or even just be able to save money. Like having enough money to save and put away for yourself so you don't have to work your whole life. So you can start saving for if you want to have children or if you don't, like whatever you want to do, buy a house or just roll around in your money. Like just know that everybody has this issue at some point. Unless someone is really, really good at just asking for whatever they want because someone taught them that. But society teaches us that that's not something we do because we might hurt somebody. So then everybody goes around not saying something because they don't want to hurt somebody, but then they end up hurting everybody. And long story short, because I said something about my pay, that turned into, I'm going to say something about everybody's pay. And then I'm going to say something about the people of color, right? It just kept going and going. And I was like, and then I'm not going to stop until you pay them, right? Like I was like, I'm going to stop being nice because I see you and your dishonesty. And that was a situation that I was in, and not everybody's situation the same. But know when to be nice if you need to, and know when not to be. And think about what would happen if you were nice in that situation. And then think about what would happen if you weren't fucking nice in that situation, right? Like, how accommodating are you being right now? What are you giving up? What are you sacrificing in your own life instead of just sharing a thought or a question or an opinion? So I challenge everybody to really think about, where are you being too nice? Or maybe where you want to be nice. But in my opinion, most people are way too fucking nice. And I even struggled with this in my own business. Like, oh, I shouldn't say F words because some people, fuck that. Right? Here we are, throwing F-bombs everywhere. And even my own family gave me the advice of, maybe you shouldn't say swear words because you could monetize it. And I'm like, I know lots of fucking podcasts with an F-bomb inserted that make a ton of fucking money, and they say fuck on like literally every single one. Right? So know when you also might be causing someone else, harm. If you're telling them to be a little bit nicer or to be a little bit calmer in what they're saying, or, I appreciated the feedback, it gave me something to think about. But also being nice, like, what? I wasn't fucking, like, I could not have made an impact the way I did for so many people if I was really fucking nice all the time. Because these conversations are not easy. And you can still be nice and be direct, right? So a lot of people don't want you to be direct because they don't want to hear it. And they feel like they might be triggered, or they get triggered, or the intonation of your voice makes them feel weird. That's on them. They can go fucking sit with a journal. They can sit outside. They can talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist. They can do whatever the hell they need to do. But if you need to be direct, it does not mean you're not also being nice. So just know that as well. But understand where you might be too giving. And that's what I consider being too nice. sacrificing your own livelihood and your happiness for someone else's fear, right? Because that's essentially what's going on. And you never know, too. Like, you might be not asking a question because you think that they might respond in a certain way. But really, you don't even know. But maybe their behavior can tell you whether or not they might respond that way. But again, like, don't let that story you've told yourself be what keeps you from taking care of yourself. Right? Like, if you need to go all in and say, fuck that, I'm not going to be nice, do it. Because it's a whole different world now, right? Like, we're seeing people leave their jobs, dropping like flies, and then flying away like eagles. You know what I mean? Like, people are essentially saying, I'm done being nice, and I'm done playing your games, and I'm going to go choose myself and find happiness. And I've been on the side of HR during this great resignation. And people are like, well, gee, I don't know why. And I'm like, are you that out of touch? You really don't know why? You don't know why? Why don't you ask the people? Well, I mean, oh, you don't want to ask. Okay, right? There's all these things going on right now. So, in the best interest of our future, we can even talk about global warming, racism, sexism, all of it, phobias. I'm gonna need you to not be so nice all the time. Right? Like, not being nice doesn't make you a bad person, because I am a glorious person. I am very sweet. And I also had to teach myself that, because people told me that when I wasn't nice, I was evil. And I wasn't. And I'm still not. But that is what they taught me to believe. That was my truth for a while. So just know that you can be an amazingly beautiful, beautiful soul, sweetest person, and still not be fucking nice when you want to. And that's perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong with that, because sometimes you need to just not be nice, right? So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you found some knowledge within yourself, or some reflection within yourself of where you might be acting too nice. Because you deserve to be happy, right? We all want to be happy. And at the end of the day, if you remember anything, just remember, fuck being nice. And that will give you all the momentum you need to chase after your dreams, to live the life you desire, and ascend to fucking happiness. And on that note, I am closing this podcast episode out. But I also want to let you know that in August, I have a program coming, and I am really excited about it. And it is called Ascend to Happiness, a Healer's Journey. And it is all about not being nice, self-advocating, empowering yourself to take your fucking life back, how to hold yourself accountable. And then we're going to shift into herbalism to support yourself, specifically intuitive herbalism. And we're going to do lots of spiritual work, tap into our inner child, talk about astrology, work with tarot. It's going to be a very beautiful experience so you can fully liberate yourself from all of the crap that is floating around in the world right now so you can align with your fucking purpose and do whatever the hell you want to do. And I will be there to guide you every single step of the way with an amazing, amazing, amazing community. So if you are interested, send me a message. I am here. I'm for it. It'll change your fucking life. Be there. I will be there. It'll be awesome. And on that note, I am signing out. This is the end of this podcast episode about niceness, and I will talk to y'all later.